Hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and you're about to listen to a hypnosis session about releasing a suppressed emotion. And I was working with a client that had a fairly unusual condition in the sense that they had something called burning mouth syndrome. It's very intense burning sensations, also almost in the mouth, the tongue, the lips, those kind of things. And I remember maybe about 2 or 3 years ago when I first started working with clients with burning mouth syndrome, I spoke with a colleague of mine, Stephen Blake, known for his old pain to go method. And I said, I'm working with this client with burning mouth syndrome. What do you think, is causing it? What's the underlying positive intention? And even though he hadn't worked with many clients with burning mouth syndrome, he immediately said, it's because they've got suppressed anger, like they're this afraid of speaking out and saying certain things. And that was in my mind working with this client. And I said, just out of curiosity, has there been a time or has there been a person where you've wanted to say something, but you really felt that you couldn't? And for them, they felt that it was a mother, that actually their mother was very inconsiderate and unhelpful in certain situations. And because of that, they felt a lot of suppressed anger and rage. So actually what we do here is we do a couple of things. We give this idea that the suppressed emotion has a color, and that color is black. And they can imagine the blackness in their tongue and their mouth. And then we use regression to go back to a time where they really did want to say all of these things, but felt they couldn't. And by letting go of the emotion, they imagine the blackness of the suppressed anger or rage or resentment turning into acceptance. And it's designed to be a parallel so that if, and a lot of medical issues are rooted in psychosomatic issues, that actually it is a response to a psychosomatic thing in the same way that some people might get a bump or a lump if they're stressed. People with psoriasis or other autoimmune issues, they might have flare-ups if they're emotionally affected. We can say there is a psychosomatic connection. There is a connection between mind and body. And for people that have this burning mouth syndrome, they kind of know, because they've had all the neurological tests, that it isn't something actually related. There is nothing physically wrong with their tongue or their mouth. Therefore, it gives us a clue that it's likely to be a psychosomatic root. So this is what happens in this. Now, you don't need to have burning mouth syndrome to benefit from this session. I would say if there is any feeling that you have either currently or in the past suppressed an emotion, this gives you the catalyst to say something. Now, it's suppressed emotion linked to, let's say, not saying words. So I want you to think of, is there someone in your life that you would have loved to have said something to, but you didn't? And that doesn't have to be anger. That could be an unrequited love. You could have wanted to tell someone you love them, but never actually found the ability to do it. Think of the suppressed emotion, and then in the regression, just imagine saying what would need to be said. Obviously, this does relate to anger and resentment, so you could ignore any suggestions if it conflicts with your intention. And equally, if you like the idea of a bespoke session tailored entirely to you, whether it's in this area or something else, there will be a link in the description where you can schedule a completely free consultation call to explore working with me, and then we can figure out if I'm the right hypnotherapist for you. For now, though, find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe in that feeling of relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow a feeling of release. Notice with your eyes closed how much easier it becomes to focus on the sound of my voice. Breathing in relaxation and exhaling any tension. And don't be surprised if each breath incrementally gets slightly deeper and longer and slower than the last. Breathing in even more of that relaxation and exhaling anything that feels trapped. Could be tension, could be anxiety, could even be anger. Breathe in what you need and exhale what you don't. That's it. And as you breathe in, I want you to imagine breathing in bright white light. And as you breathe in that bright white light that represents healing and resourcefulness, just imagine it accumulating there in your mouth before you breathe it in. Almost imagine infinite numbers of tiny, bright white molecules finding their way into your tongue, cheeks, the palate of your mouth, and even your lips. And just imagine every white molecule is replacing something black. And as you imagine that happening, continue to breathe in and breathe out. But when you breathe out, just imagine something dark leaving your body. That's it. And you can scan your body for any clues of tension and stress. Maybe in your forehead, your jaw, your neck, or your shoulders. And then allow that resourceful relaxation, that bright white light, to find its way to those places of tension and feel like it's melting away that tension, enabling you to feel like you're drifting into ever deeper feelings of calm, resourceful relaxation. That's it. Deeper and deeper relaxed. In fact, the deeper you breathe, the more relaxed you become. And the more relaxed you become, the deeper you breathe. Each breath taking you deeper and more relaxed than the last. With each breath, your body starts to slow down. Your mind begins to quiet, and your imagination begins to awaken. And I wonder if you could imagine what it would feel like to let go of the need to achieve, the need to strive. Not forever, just for right now. Because this moment, this time, is just for you. And as you focus on my voice, you might imagine that you are sitting on a train. Imagine staring out of the window and just seeing the scenery pass by. And this train is moving in a fast yet smooth direction. And yet there is no need to rush. The train feels like it's moving effortlessly. Because this train knows that the destination is certain. And all you need to do is relax and simply enjoy the ride, allowing your mind to drift into a place of comfort and calm. And very soon I will count down from 10 to 1. And with each number, you'll feel yourself drifting even deeper, almost like you're descending into a safe, peaceful state, a place where physical and emotional healing can take place. So 10, just relaxing deeply, perhaps synchronizing with your breathing as 9, you feel softer and calmer. 8, floating inward. And 7, just releasing that tension. That's it. 6, breathing in that relaxation. And 5, halfway there now, just releasing anything suppressed. 4, going deeper now. 3, deeper into peace. And 2, almost all the way down. And 1, just feeling deeply relaxed, open, and ready for change. And in this deep state of relaxation, I want you to notice your mouth and tongue. And perhaps you can imagine a heaviness right there. Or perhaps an intense darkness, blackness. And I want you to consider this dark blackness in your tongue and mouth as a symbol of all the words you wanted to say but never did, all the emotions you felt but kept them pushed down. And maybe, just maybe, that blackness represents the anger, the frustration, the hurt, perhaps even resentment towards a particular person. And not because you are wrong to feel those things, but because you didn't or couldn't have the chance to express them. And when something's suppressed, sometimes it comes out in strange and unusual ways. And what if holding on to unspoken words has weighed heavily on you? What if the lack of recognition from that person meant you strive to get recognition from others? What if all of that suppressed emotion created something psychosomatic, a biological response? And wouldn't it be good if today we get to release those suppressed emotions? That right now you can speak your truth and you will let it out. And in doing so, you will no longer need to hold on to this blackness. And so now, I wonder if you could imagine drifting back in time, maybe 10 years ago, to a particular house, to a particular room, the kind of place where perhaps you and them were quite often. Imagine it's just you two. You're back in your body, and they are there at the age they would have been about 10 years ago. But before you notice them, I want you to notice the room. Maybe the colours, any furniture, the layout, the atmosphere, where you are in that room and where they are in that room. And I want you to see them there, a version of them from the past. And you know this isn't real, because it doesn't need to be. This is a safe outlet for things that were left unsaid. So in this safe inner space, now you have the chance to say everything that you wished you had said but didn't. And let's add something. I want you to imagine either a zip or tape covering the mouth. They don't get to respond. They cannot respond. This is not for them. This is for you. So imagine yourself standing tall, strong, direct and truthful, and feel the words rising up from within you. They can't respond, they can't interrupt, they can't invalidate your words. They have to listen to everything. So allow that anger, that frustration, disappointment, any resentment, even harsh words, brutal words, the truth, just let it flow out. You're not an observer, you are in your body. Feel how you would feel speaking your truth with clarity, with strength, saying what needs to be said. Continue to let the words just flow, and as the words leave your mouth, I want you to imagine that that blackness that was in your tongue, in your mouth, begins to flow out too. The blackness is now leaving your body, leaving your mouth. And any heaviness, any prickly sensations, any sensations at all is leaving your mouth. No longer trapped inside you. And maybe you see it floating around the room. And maybe the blackness turns into yellow butterflies. Or perhaps a soft, warm yellow light. And I want you to keep saying what needs to be said until all of the blackness has left your body. And when that's done, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. Feel that release. You've needed this release. And it feels good to just let it no longer be inside you, it's out of you. And as the blackness turns to yellow, allow it to represent acceptance, release, healing. But you are not accepting anything other than what had happened and who they were. We can't change the past, but we can change what meaning we give to it. I want you to get a sense that by releasing it, it's now no longer suppressed, it's released. If anything is buried down for too long, it can grow and build in power, but when you release it, you set it free. As you finish speaking your truth, maybe you notice how you feel. Maybe you feel lighter, freer. Maybe there is a soothing, relaxed sensation in your mouth. And you get to recognize now that they were always who they were. Their own limitations, their own pain, their own past. And maybe they couldn't give what they didn't have. So you no longer need to carry the burden of unspoken anger. And by releasing it, you free yourself. By speaking your truth here, you no longer need anything to remind you of what was unsaid. Feel a sense of freedom, not just in your mouth, but everywhere in your body. You have nothing to prove now. You accept others for who they are, and you accept yourself for who you are. And because there's nothing to prove, achievement becomes an option, not a need. Any of those rules are now yours to set. You get to live life on your terms. Have the right boundaries to keep you in that state of feeling free and relaxed and balanced. And perhaps you can begin to imagine your present and future living in a new way. And maybe for a long time, the silver lining of not quite being good enough gave you that drive, that determination, that desire to overachieve. But what if you no longer need to burn yourself out to prove your worth? I want you to feel that now is the time to do things that you want. Not because you have to, but because you choose to. You now have permission to rest, to find the right balance between doing and being. And of course, you will still achieve. But now with harmony, with rest, with mindfulness. Because the journey matters just as much as the destination. And if your unconscious feels that You've released something that needed to be released. Let me know by nodding your head. And if you feel that you can now recalibrate and have a more harmonious relationship with yourself and the life that you live, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. So now your whole nervous system can just release and calm down. Because if a part of you has been trying to deter you or warn you or change you, and now you've changed, then there is no need for that warning sign anymore. And if the warning sign now is willing to either turn itself off or quieten itself down because it's achieved its mission, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. So it's time to leave this place from your past and come all the way back to the present, but taking all of these wonderful changes with you, rippling through time from the past to the present. And as you think of the color now, maybe it's white, maybe it's yellow, but it's certainly not black there in your tongue or your mouth. And just imagine your neural pathways are rewiring, updating, aligning with this version of you that doesn't have to suppress and doesn't have to prove. And it's time to awaken from this place. But in particular, awakening the part that can protect you in new ways. Encouraging balance rather than accomplishment and suppression. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes, start to connect and calibrate into the here and the now. As I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of The Hypnotist. And if you've got some value from this episode, I'd like to ask a favor. And that is that all of the platforms have some way of you telling us that you like it. And that might be hitting the like button, that might be giving it a 5-star rating or a short review. And if it's possible, and it is on Spotify and YouTube, if you can drop a comment with what value you got from the show or anything you liked in particular, that really helps the algorithm to put it in front of new people. Thank you so much again for joining me on this episode, and I'll see you again soon in the next one.